And welcome to episode 39 of the Red Mountain Express. I am Blake Westbrook. Joining me as always is Matthew Joyner. We have a good show for you today. Got some updates on having some mimosas on Sunday. We also have some grants that are going out to the Birmingham Jefferson Transit Authority. But first, we actually have some big news. Would you say it's big news?
Call it what you want.
I'd say it's big news.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Tell us about it, Matt.
Well, sitting here next to me is Patrick.
People can't see you right now. You know that, right?
I'm giving them an audio visual.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We've got a guest on the show with us. We got Patrick Tucker here. He's a friend of the show, has been one of our constant listeners, and we invited him to come and join us to, give his 2 cents and correct us where we're wrong, and generally throw tennis balls when we need them thrown.
Welcome, Patrick.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks, guys.
So tell us about yourself.
I'm Patrick Tucker, like you said. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I was actually born and raised here.
Unlike us, yokels.
Unlike you guys. Lived here pretty much all my life. I went to school at Alabama for 4 or 5 years.
See, now I'm outnumbered.
Did you redshirt a year like I did?
Yeah. I took a redshirt year, and then moved to Atlanta for about 5 years, and then moved back here with my now wife, and we have 2 boys. So,
what neighborhood did you grow up in?
Grew up in mostly Crestwood, a little bit in Irondale, but mostly Crestwood.
So what do you do for a living? Can you disclose that?
Yeah, so I work in IT. I work in information systems. I work with human resources information systems. So kind of background in consulting and working with software.
Yeah, and more importantly, you have the same opinion of Star Wars that I do.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I do agree with you on Star Wars.
And Star Wars football, so generally Matt's
but
out of the show.
I'm definitely on Matt's side on the Dome Stadium, so...
Well, look, that's over with now. I mean,
it's been decided.
It's been decided. So I mean, but
now you've withdrawn your guns and
I've withdrawn my guns, but I've redeployed my artillery to the Star Wars argument, which I am going to win.
I apologize to those of you who listen regularly and are tired of hearing about Star Wars.
Well, first of all, it's not just he may agree with me on Star Wars, but y'all both disagree with me on Jaws, which I think is a great movie. And y'all don't think it's
all right, yeah, so we're not going to turn this into a movie podcast.
I know we're not, but I just
did
want to
have a
mention
discussion
this because it was just unfortunate that we had to get in this argument.
In text messages amongst ourselves, and we're talking about 80s movies and what was great and what
First
wasn't
of all,
great.
70s movies.
70s,
Okay,
you brought up Jaws, and we were both of the opinion that it wasn't really that great.
It's just not my favorite movie.
No.
Oh, my God.
It looks... watching it now, I can see how it was awesome, and... The special effects were great, but now it really doesn't hold up.
No, and I'm sure, it was groundbreaking at the time. People in the theaters had never really had an experience like Jaws, but yeah, I mean, there were better movies in the late 70s and 80s that brought more of that to the table. May not have been the first to the market or first out of the gate, but better movies all around that still hold up.
You don't think Jaws holds up?
Not in my opinion, no.
Oh, my God. I quit. I'm done. Well, welcome to the show, Patrick. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Are you nervous at all?
A little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just us sitting here.
I know, just having a conversation.
I mean, there are probably millions and millions of people listening. And
Tim Cook.
If there were millions and millions
Cook's
of people, I wouldn't
right
be listening. I wouldn't be sitting here right
now. Now,
I'd be in a studio.
Your sister is an avid listener to the show, right?
She is.
And she does not know that you're on here, right?
She has no idea.
So you think you're just not going to tell her? You're just going to be like...
I'll just let her listen.
Yeah. So you'll probably get a call tomorrow afternoon, you think?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the best approach. If I mention my wife or mention a family member, I'm not going to tell them until it happens. That way they're listening to it. There's no expectation that it's going to be great, but they just get a surprise when they're listening to the episode.
Exactly.
It's going to be great. I feel good about this. You feel good about this?
Are you talking? I thought you were talking about... No, I feel good about this. Yeah.
I mean, I'm feeling less good about myself.
I'm a generally positive person. I feel good about it all.
You are not positive whatsoever.
Well, most of the time.
He was positive about Star Wars, which is...
Yeah, I was.
That's false positivity.
Anyway.
Well, we got some upcoming events in the city of Birmingham. We mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but the 20th annual Lebanese Food Festival is going to be this coming Friday and Saturday at the St. Elias Maronite Catholic Church, located on 8th Street. You've been to that, right, Patrick?
I have been, and it is awesome. I love the food.
It's a pretty church, too.
Baklava is amazing. I'd go just for that.
We have good food festivals here in Birmingham. I love the Greek Food Festival, and I've been to this one as well. So look forward to that. Also, the Pepper Place Market will be moving back outdoors till the end of the summer. You can go there 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. Beecham Woodworks, who is our proud sponsor, is going to be there on April the 21st and also May the 19th. And then the last thing I want to mention is AL.com announced that I guess it's kind of a spinoff. Reckon is it a spinoff?
Yeah, it's spun off from AL.com, but
Yeah.
it's loosely associated in the same because they work in the same company.
Yeah, Alabama Media Company. Anyway, they're hosting the 2 gubernatorial debates at the Lyric Theater. The GOP will be debating on April 18th at 7 p.m., and the Democrats will be debating on April 24th at 7 p.m. as well. So look out for that. You can go to Eventbrite. We'll put a link to the show where you can get tickets. They are free. And the last thing I want to update folks on is the brunch bill is moving forward, right? The committee voted for this?
I believe it was a safety committee.
Yeah, public safety.
Gave their positive recommendation towards the brunch bill, and they're going to have the full vote for the council on April 10th. So this coming Tuesday.
Well, let's have some mimosas.
Finally.
Or Bloody
All
Marys.
right.
Do you like Bloody Marys?
I do like Bloody Marys, but can't drink but maybe one of them.
Yeah,
I can't.
I just don't
That's-
like Bloody Marys. Maybe it's the tomato juice.
The thing I don't like are Bloody Mary bars where you like fix your own. I really just prefer for a bartender to make my drinks for me.
If I go to a
self-service, if I want to do it at home, I can do it
If I'm
at
paying
home.
for something,
Exactly.
you're going to make it for me. That's why I'm paying you.
Well, if I go to one where I make it myself and they have all the fixings out, I usually end up with like a whole salad inside my cup before I'm done. Like there's a thing of bacon, there's like 5 celery sticks, and a whole bunch of like I'm like, what did I do? This is
Throw
I'm gonna
some
have to
ranch
eat
on the
this.
side.
Like, so if I get a bartender to actually make it for me, I usually enjoy it a whole lot more.
We went to Mobile when my wife graduated from South Alabama and went to this place for brunch, and my dad got a Bloody Mary, and this thing was like, I don't know if it was probably like a gallon, and it had like a slab of bacon. And my dad was like, this is the best thing I've ever had in my life. I was like, well, yeah, it's basically a tomato farm with some vodka.
You get to eat the bacon and wash down the salt. Like
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, well, let's take a break, hear from our friends over at Beecham Woodworks, and we'll be back with the rest of the show. We'll see you in a minute. Beecham Woodworks is a locally owned and operated wood shop in Birmingham, Alabama, specializing in custom furniture and small home goods. Chris and Kanan Beecham create a wide variety of unique pieces of all sizes, ranging from cutting boards to farmhouse tables. Using wood sourced from Alabama sawmills, Beecham Woodworks creates affordable, quality pieces that will be a one-of-a-kind fixture for your home. So support your local woodworker and visit redmountainexpress.com/woodworks or check them out on their Facebook and Instagram accounts. Beecham Woodworks, turning your house into a home. And we're back with the second half of the show. I want to remind everybody that the Birmingham Barons will be opening their season at Regions Field this coming Wednesday. They'll be playing the Montgomery Biscuits from my hometown of Montgomery. First pitch is at 7:05. Everybody here has been to the stadium, right?
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
Now, wait, is this their first game or is this their first home game?
This is their first home game.
Okay.
Now, I think
they had one
played
game last week, right?
A couple. They played Chattanooga, I think,
okay.
for a 3-game stand in Chattanooga.
I did not follow scores. You have any idea?
No idea.
Okay.
It was a baseball game. There were runs scored.
Awesome.
And a winner was decided.
Thanks for the sports commentary.
You're welcome. this could be Sports Center, man. But no, like I think it's Wednesday night, and then Thursday they have like the Thirsty Thursday. Do they still do those?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Well worth going on Thursday.
absolutely. We do a thing at our company where we actually buy tickets for our whole staff and their immediate family, kind of a family night out. So I'm excited about going to that. And I think, are we planning to go here sometime soon as a group?
I think next Sunday,
Yeah.
15th.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who are they playing, Matthew? Do you not know this?
Don't know.
Next Sunday, they're playing Pensacola.
See? He's already added value to the show with actual facts instead
They-
of us just
they
going.
also-
What is the name of their mascot?
That I don't know.
Oh, you're fired.
Something fish related.
They're not the. What was it? The Mobile was not officially. They were the Bay Bears.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Bay
right.
Bears.
But, you know, minor league teams have funny names, like
Like the
Bears-
biscuits.
Like the Biscuits.
okay, so I think I've said this story
Yes.
before, but I was there when they announced it. They were like, "Ladies and gentlemen, the Montgomery," and then they lowered the curtain and they were like, "Biscuits," and everybody's like, "Yeah, what?"
Everybody's kind of face palming.
It was like that. But I mean, there were so
Groans.
many things, like they throw biscuits out into the stadium. They say "batter up." You know, there's a good pun there, and it's
As somebody who's not a really big fan of puns or having biscuits thrown at me in a stadium, this sounds awful.
you don't like biscuits thrown at you.
Maybe in a restaurant, but not in an open air stadium. I don't want to like biscuit thrown at me. Is the biscuit like hard? Is it a like warm, fluffy biscuit? What
Are you
talking
telling me
about
that
here?
if we were in a dome
it a
stadium,
can
you
of
wouldn't
biscuit?
mind a biscuit being thrown at you? Because you're like in an open air stadium. Oh, so we need to move it to a dome.
My opposition to it is that biscuits are made with dough, not batter. So
Ooh, see,
the
look,
pun, I love a good pun, but that's just not a good pun.
I'm so happy right now.
He's upstaging me. A biscuit batter.
Nope.
It's biscuit
Pancake batter.
Well, you know the funny thing is
Should have been the pancakes.
the pancakes, the Montgomery Flapjacks.
Yes, that actually works a little bit better.
The best thing is that their mascot is not a biscuit like the one that runs around. It's an anteater. Because they did a big thing at the zoo to get an anteater, and so they made the biscuit. His name's Mo.
None of this makes sense.
It's an anteater. I actually knew Mo, the guy that did Mo, for a couple years.
I know things at Montgomery are a little bit crazy, but this is icing on the cake for me right now.
Hey, look, there used to be a place we used to skate at. It was called Looney's, and their mascot was a kangaroo, and his name was Roo the kangaroo.
The reason that you are the way you are is starting to come into focus for me.
Because I grew up in Montgomery. Is that what it is? Well, what do you got for us, Matt? Let's go.
All
Let's go
right,
to the
so
news. Let's get away from the crazy
Story
stuff.
number one from AL.com. There is an aviation company, Stewart Industries International, and they are going to be taking the former Kaiser aircraft facility there at the Birmingham Shuttlesworth Airport. They're projected to have at least 200 jobs open up to maybe 500 jobs. I think that's a pretty large number of jobs. They are going to offer these jobs first up to former Kaiser aircraft employees. This is not a company that I'd heard of before, but reading into them, apparently they do a lot of really big like logistical and maintenance work for Delta Airlines, American Airlines. They're a pretty big company. I think they've got offices like in Houston, if I read that right. I may have to fact check myself again later. This is a big move for us.
And they bought a company or bought the assets of a company?
I think they bought the assets. The actual Kaiser facility is leased, I believe, to whoever's in it. But they bought the assets. Like I said, they're offering these open jobs to the Kaiser aircraft employees first. But that's a lot of jobs opening up in that area, and that's good news for the Birmingham Airport. Showing that we're open to doing new things and bigger things there. Also for Birmingham as a whole.
And this is, there also a few months ago we talked about how there was a parking company that was opening up a new parking lot or new...
And there was a new parking lot and a new rental car facility, I think.
So that's good because if you've ever been down by the airport, it can get kind of dodgy at some places. So it makes our front door look really, really good.
Yeah, and I think they've been working to take down some of the... older, decrepit houses that people aren't living in anymore. I think they've been doing a lot of work there too. So that's good. Michael Bell, he's the chairman of the Birmingham Airport Authority Board of Directors, said to AL.com, said it also demonstrates a level of proactive collaboration and leadership by many stakeholders that made this a welcomed announcement possible. This is yet another testament that Birmingham is open for business. And I think, for the last year of Mayor Bell's term in office and for Woodfin's current term in office, that's something I think we've seen a lot here. I think Birmingham is showing that we are open for business, that we're trying to get people to come in and do things with us.
Well, even since I've moved here, and I moved here in 2011, the airport has been totally different. And it looked terrible.
Yeah, it was awful.
I mean, it looked like something out of Mad Men when you walked in there. I expected Don Draper to come walking out with a cigarette in his mouth. I mean, it was bad. But now, I mean, it's some of the best airports. It's one of the best airports in the Southeast, and I think they have Morgan Freeman on the overhead, which is pretty awesome.
Well, they have somebody that sounds a lot like him.
They said it was Morgan Freeman, but I don't think it is.
It could
I'm
be.
sure it is.
Yeah. Not many people have that voice. That's pretty unique.
Pretty unmistakable voice.
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of sounds like someone doing Morgan Freeman. Ladies and gentlemen, it's bad. Anyway,
I enjoy it. I'm a fan.
Well, speaking of airports, there's a new shuttle from Birmingham to the Atlanta airport. I think it's Groom Transportation out of Richmond is doing an airport shuttle from Birmingham to Atlanta and vice versa. So if you have a flight to, let's say, Seattle and the ticket's really, really extra expensive, you can just take a trip over there. I think trips are $29 one way, $59 round trip. You can bring 2 bags on board. And they have up to 14 different shuttles a day. I've never done this. I would rather just go ahead and fly into fly into Birmingham and go home when my flight's done with. But I don't know. You've done this, Patrick?
Yeah, so I've taken a shuttle before from Atlanta back to Birmingham. It was just a one-way deal where I was flying in and just needed a quick ride over to Birmingham. I think my car was broken or something.
How long does it take you to get back, you think?
It was about,
2 or 3 hours?
2 or 3 hours. Yeah, it's normal driving time with stops or whatever. And this was just a van. I assume this is a larger shuttle bus.
That's what it sounds like. It's like more of a bus. I don't know. The worst thing about getting off a flight is having to get in the car and drive a couple hours. But You're not driving. You're actually letting someone do the drive for you. So maybe it's a little bit different. But
I know a lot of people today drive from Birmingham to Atlanta to get cheaper flights, especially traveling internationally.
Yeah.
There are a lot more options out of Atlanta. So people are doing this today, and they're having to leave their cars or whatever. So now you could just Uber to the I think it's the Festival Center where it leaves from.
Yeah, it's the Festival Shopping Center in Crestwood.
So take an Uber to Festival and then leave your car at home and not have to worry about parking and paying for parking, because that can get pretty pricey.
Yeah, especially if you come in maybe on a red eye or something, being able to get on a bus and take that 2 or 3 hour trip back to Birmingham, take a little nap on the way, that sounds pretty nice.
The only problem is that when I usually get on a flight, I leave as early as possible. I'm a 5 a.m., 6 a.m. guy.
Right.
So that means I would have to get up at 2, get to the place before that, because you need to get to Atlanta because the security is a little bit extra in Atlanta. So might as well just go ahead and spend the night in Atlanta.
But I think for students or people who are from here but are traveling to go to off to school or something more long term, it really makes it a good option instead of having to try and leave your car, get your car back to Birmingham.
Yeah, sure. Or even the opposite, you've got transplant students here maybe at UAB that don't have a car because they don't need one in the city. Being able to Uber to the airport and take a shuttle, that's pretty big. I don't know that I'll use it anytime soon. I don't fly enough to use it, but I'm excited for it. It's a nice little touch.
I just don't know. Just get in the car or get into a bus for 3 hours just to get to Atlanta.
It doesn't sound like fun.
Oh, it's not fun, yeah.
Could be interesting depending on who else is on the bus.
Some good people watching for that drive.
You think somebody will be like, you do that podcast, don't you?
I don't know that you'll get that. Maybe, but I don't know.
I'm recognizing
when they hear your voice.
Yeah. Your dad said that to me. I recognize the voice.
He was being nice.
Oh, well. He's a nice man.
He is.
What else you got, Matt?
So the Birmingham planning, this is from CBS 42, Birmingham planning to open up new farmers market at the intermodal facility. So we've got that new intermodal facility there on Morris Avenue. Have you've seen it? Have you been in it?
I've been by there. I haven't been inside, but it looks very, very nice.
Have you been in it?
I haven't been there yet. I've seen the new construction. It looks really nice from the outside, but I haven't been in it.
It's much needed, though. It was much needed before.
Absolutely.
I went to a Yelp party. It was under the tunnel there several months back, or I guess towards the middle of last year, and really had to go to the bathroom, and it was right there next to it, so I walked in there, and it was really nice. It was really clean, really shiny and new. They had a lot of all the announcements going on the TV screens. It was cool. I liked it. So they're talking about they got a $143,000 grant to open up a farmer's market at this facility. There weren't a lot of other details to this yet. There was a lot of speculation about what it might look like, how many days it might run. I think it's a cool thing. It's part of the Healthy Food Financing Program, which I'm not 100% on what all that entails.
And I have no idea who gave them the grant. Is it through a Department of
Well, the article on
Services,
CBS 42 didn't say. It just said it was a $143,000 grant. So maybe that grant was part of the Healthy Food Financing Program.
Probably so.
That makes sense. We've got some farmers markets around the area, but having one right there at that facility, kind of like in the heart of the city, that's a cool touch. If it's open during business hours, I can see people, going down and checking it out on their lunch breaks or after work. If it's only open on the weekends, that's still pretty cool. I think it'll get a lot of use.
Absolutely, man. Get your produce, get on the bus, go home.
Yeah, I really like this. I think, the downtown area in general, not a lot of grocery stores. There's a Publix down there now, which I think has been great for the area, especially for the folks that live in all the new condos that have been built down there. But having more fresh produce in essentially what was a food desert, I think is great. I wonder a little bit about, is this going to be, do you know if it's going to be open during the week or if this is a weekend kind of thing to bring people down there?
That was a lot of the stuff I read was speculation on, is this going to be a 7-day-a-week type thing or a 5-day-a-week or just the weekends? And there wasn't, the article that I read didn't have any spelled out plans yet.
Yeah. What's the money going to go for? Is it going for getting vendors there? Or,
We're waiting for more details. Yeah, I mean,
do you have anything you can tell us, Matthew?
Look, we're a commentary show. I'm not an actual news reporter. We just regurgitate, so I can give you what I got.
When you doled out this grant money, Matthew.
No, as more details come, of course, I think this will be a cool story to go back into. So,
well, speaking of the Birmingham-Jefferson County Transit Authority and grants, the Department of Transportation handed out a $3.6 million grant for new buses for the city of Birmingham. And God, we need some new buses. Some of them are just really, really bad shape. Like I said, the grant comes from the DOT. It'll go directly to the Transit Authority. And I think this is good news. I want to say that Senator Doug Jones announced this past week, and it's much needed. I think that when it comes to public transit in Birmingham, is one of the problems that we really do have, and we need to put on the best face possible when it comes to trying to get people on our public transit system. So this will go a long way to do that. I don't know how many buses you can get for $3.6 million, but it's got to be a few.
Well, and so we've already seen, even with looking at trying to get somebody like Amazon to come, one of their big things that they were looking for was a good public transit system, and that's something that we have but is really lacking and really needs a lot of updates. I think a lot of the buses we got from cities who were getting new buses, and we got their hand-me-downs. So we're working on buses that need maintenance and repairs a lot more frequently than they should. Being able to spend $3.6 million on getting new buses, on doing maintenance on our buses that are still good, this is huge. This will make the transit system more reliable. People will be more likely to use it if it's cleaned up and will be running on time. I think it's just one of those little things that shows that we're moving forward in a good direction right now.
If we had a light rail, would y'all use it? Like, let's say you had a train that moved out. Now, I don't know how efficient it would be for the city of Birmingham, but let's say you had one that came out to your homes and would drive you down or take you down by your office. Would you use it? I think I would.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there was just one that ran up and down 280, I think a ton of people would use it.
Yes.
Stop at the Summit and
At some of the business parks.
Some of the business parks along the way. I think it would get a ton of use. I don't know that it would ever get done, but I think it's something it's one of the things that this city lacks that other cities, other up-and-coming cities have or have gotten.
I just don't think we get the use out of our public transit system that we should get it. And I think that some people are just don't want to take buses.
Right.
I don't know if there's a hesitancy there for some reason, but some people just don't want to take buses. And so I think if you brought maybe a light rail or a different kind of transportation system, people would be more apt to use it.
Ski lift.
Right? Ski lift.
You're always going to have people.
Just cruise down 280.
You'll always have the people that like the independence of having the car and being able to choose their schedule and don't want to wait on a bus schedule or
listen
a train
to my own
schedule.
music,
Right, stuff like that. Maybe people that aren't comfortable with being on a bus because they like being by themselves in their own car, or they have the wrong idea about buses in a city or trains. But man, of all the experiences I've had with bus systems and train systems in bigger cities like Atlanta or New York, I've had great experiences, not having to rely on getting a taxi cab. Now you've got Uber, and Uber in the bigger cities runs just as great as it does here, if not better. You've got more options and cars constantly around you. But several years back, I spent a week in New York and made heavy use of their subway system.
It's an easy subway system. It's uptown or downtown,
it's
man.
It's a great subway system. I know we'll never have anything quite like that. I mean, unless something major happens in Birmingham. But having a nice transit system that works, is reliable, that you have a lot of stops and options to get on and off at, dude, I would love that.
I'm gonna tell you what, a bus ticket will be a lot less expensive than me getting out of jail for me killing somebody on 280. Because if someone cuts me off again without using their blinker, I'm gonna go haywire, man. Or when I let someone over and I don't get the wave, y'all,
you got to do the wave.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I lose my damn mind. Because you drive down. We work pretty close to each other.
Yeah, we work in basically the same office park.
Yeah,
but
so you can attest to that, right?
I try to avoid as much of 280 as I can on back roads when possible. But
so you go down Valleydale to go home, or
Cobb or River Road or whatever. But
that can be just as bad.
It can be just as bad, especially now that the hospital's there. I think a lot of the traffic has diverted to that road as well. But I think having reliable buses, I think that may be one of the problems with the ridership is just not being able to count on it and rely on it. So having buses that are staying in service is going to help tremendously with that. And I think also Birmingham now developing these different areas around town where there's a concentration of businesses and places that you want to go be at, where it's not just a hit and miss. Now you can go to the Parkside area and it's a whole area, or Second Avenue or Uptown, those different areas. And I think once you have that, you can start to see ridership of public transport go up a lot.
In Montgomery, they did a thing where they had a direct line from downtown to this area called Cloverdale, which is where I used to live when I lived in Montgomery. It's a historic district. They have some bars over there and some restaurants. And people would go back and forth on this little trolley. It was basically a bus that looked like a trolley. And that happened frequently, and you saw a ton of people making use of it. And I think that if I was in downtown Birmingham and wanted to go to, if I was at my favorite bar, Collins Bar, and wanted to go all the way to my, go all the way to Avondale Brewing Company, I would rather take a trolley or something than get in my car and drive over there.
Yeah, so that's one of the things Charlotte has, the trolleys that kind of go up and down just a short distance from downtown. So I know Birmingham's had similar things in the past. I don't know if we still do or not.
Not that I think it's been like little one-off type things.
Well, it's something to look forward to, and we'll update you when we get more information, especially on the farmers market, and also when the grant money is doled out and we have some new buses in Birmingham. For our final story is that Tim Cook, the president and CEO of Apple, was in town. He was in town commemorating the 50th anniversary of MLK's assassination. He spoke to students and took questions at 6th Avenue Baptist Church. Pretty big story. I mean, Tim Cook is from Alabama, was born in Mobile, went to
Auburn grad.
Went to Auburn.
War Eagle.
Whatever.
Yeah,
but no, this is big news. And he also rolled out a couple of some curriculum. Is that right?
Well, so BHAM Now reported basically the idea, they framed it as the idea that Birmingham is trying to build a relationship with Apple. So Mayor Woodfin and several city officials took a trip to Chicago, I think last week or the week before. They visited with some Apple employees, some Chicago public schools, and the city colleges of Chicago to learn about Apple's Everyone Can Code program, which is basically a program to help teach students, a curriculum to teach students about Apple's coding language called Swift, in order to try and get these kids involved in the tech industry and in coding in general. I mean, it is currently a big industry and is only going to get bigger as we move towards more computer AI type robotics programs, things like that. Coding is getting bigger and bigger. And Swift, of course, is their proprietary system that they use for a lot of their in-house things. And
it's the most popular when it comes to making apps, right? Or it's one of the most popular. You're a tech guy.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily the most popular. I think it's obviously gaining popularity, being that Apple is probably the biggest platform for apps.
Yes.
But a lot of people still code their apps and other things to make them more portable to like if you want to build an app for iPhone and for Android, you're not going to go build it in Swift.
Right.
So if you're just targeting Apple devices, then you would build in Swift.
Yeah, and Apple's really pushing this program. And so to me, looking at it, like, of course, Apple is going to get a return on investment if they can get more people involved in something like Swift and they have more people coding for their devices instead of like competing Android devices. Oh. But the more that a person learns to code with something like Swift, the more that they are able to apply those skills to something else, which I think is huge.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think, I don't know if it was Tim Cook that said this, but that they felt that a coding language is more important than a foreign language at this point. So having resources available, especially, they also announced recently a cheaper iPad, something that's more attainable and that you could actually use to run some of these software on. And I think they have some of their coding learning software on the iPad. So I think this is a great thing. I think the more kids you can get learning to code, because I mean, in everything they do, I see it all throughout business. There's coding everywhere. Everything is system driven now. So I think this is a great thing for the city too, to be picking up on this. This is something that's only going to help our students.
And they want to expand this throughout Alabama's community college system, right? I think that's the plan, or
yeah. So I think the idea is if Woodfin and some of the city officials were going to learn about how Chicago was using this, curriculum, then why wouldn't we try and bring it to Alabama, to Birmingham schools, to Alabama, to community colleges, to larger colleges? Of course, Apple wants to be able to get their product into other people's hands and that curriculum in other people's hands. But we've got Huntsville, which is a really big tech city for Alabama. Birmingham is growing in that sector. I don't think we're near the size of Huntsville right now in regards to those kind of jobs. We are growing quickly, and especially with the health industry here being as big as it is, there's a lot of programming that goes into the health industry. So, yeah.
Big news. He also received an award from the Birmingham Metro Southern Christian Leadership Conference, Human Rights Award. So that was big news. But he was in town for a full day, went to the Birmingham Civil Rights Museum or Institute, and, really, I mean, he was all over the news, and we were glad to have him. He's a very, very important figure, not only in Alabama, but in the country, especially with everything that's going on in
the world.
In the world,
Right,
I mean, and it pales in comparison, what a tech CEO like Tim Cook was doing last week compared to what Mark Zuckerberg was doing that last week, fending off Congress. So it was good to have him in town. But with that, I think that's kind of the rundown of what we've got this week, right, Matt?
That's it.
How you feel, Patrick? You okay?
I'm good.
Are you sweating yet?
No.
Are you nervous still?
No.
See, wasn't that tough? It was like like getting a shot, and you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if are we really a shot? Would you say we're a shot?
A shot in the arm.
It depends. Look, this is way unrelated. I got a shot last week, a little booster shot, since we have a child coming soon, and I've never had a reaction to a shot like this before. My arm is still sore. We're talking like almost a full week later.
What was the shot?
The Tdap booster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I can still, every time I move my arm, I can feel it like in the upper section of the shoulder there.
Yeah, I got that too.
Did you still feel it?
No.
Sorry, that was a little aside there.
Oh,
Since we're talking about shots.
wimp. Really? Is there a bruise there?
No bruise. I mean, it was just a
sore muscles.
Yeah, like
it's the worst.
I think tetanus shots will usually make you sore for a few.
Look, now this is not a joke. And yes, I was sore for a couple of days after I got that. But I stepped on a nail one time when I worked for a moving company. I was in high school, and they gave me a tetanus shot, and they did a shot in my foot. And I couldn't move like one side of my body the next day because that tetanus shot, it causes a knot, and you can't move your arm. And I mean, it's just terrible. But then, I didn't get lockjaw, and I'm still here with you. So
But worth it overall.
It was worth it.
Modern medicine has got some perks. here and there.
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes.
I'm sure your wife, who is pregnant right now, really, really cares about your
not
poor
at all.
arm.
Yeah, no, I can't complain to her. That's why I'm complaining to y'all.
You didn't even mention your arm to her.
No, everything's great. Yeah.
I'm fine. How are you doing? Can I get you some water?
No, I didn't sleep either. I'm sorry. It's terrible.
How much longer we got till baby Joyner arrives?
Somewhere between like 4 and 6 weeks.
At any day now, basically, right?
Could be.
How you feel?
I feel great. I'm ready. I'm excited.
Did you feel the same way when you had kids? I mean, were you the first one? I know it's kind of on edge, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I was the same way.
Yeah, the second one I was pretty comfortable with, but the first one was nervous, anxious, excited.
Well, I keep telling people, I was at a party last night, and somebody asked me, somebody that's got several children, and asked me how I was feeling, if I was ready, and I kind of summed it up like this. I was like, I think I'm too ignorant to know that I'm not ready. So people ask me, and I say, yeah, of course I'm ready. When the reality is, like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I think I'm ready.
Until it's 4 a.m., you're changing a dirty diaper, you hadn't slept in 3 days, you're like, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
Or in the hospital room, and they just leave the baby with you, and they're like,
what do we do?
It's yours now.
Yeah.
Make it live.
You can't send me home with this. I don't have the instructions.
Y'all laugh, but like that happened to us. Like, we finally got into our hospital room at like 1 a.m., and they gave Maggie a bath, and they were like, okay, if y'all need anything, just let us know. Good night. And we're like, whoa.
Can't just leave her here.
What do you want us to do with this? I mean,
one of y'all have to stay.
What if she cries? What do I do? But luckily, Maggie slept most of the night that night, so she was as tuckered out as
and
we
then
were.
never again.
And then never again. She slept till 6 a.m., and it's amazing how time will affect your the way you view 6 a.m. Because when I was in college, like, God, I got up at 6 a.m. this morning. Today, I'm like, wow, I got up at 6 a.m.
I got to sleep till 6
I
a.m.
got to sleep till 6 a.m. So, yeah. Well, it's we're got a few weeks left, and then you're going to take a little bit of a sabbatical, probably. Maybe, possibly.
I'm sure that there will be at least a couple of weeks where I have to bow out.
You're going to, because you won't be able to, you'll probably be sleeping during our podcast sessions.
We'll see. I think if I can get caffeine into the IV and just keep it on a pole walking around with me, I won't have to worry about sleep anymore. Well, that's what I'm operating on, is that thought.
Well, good luck to you. Godspeed. Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Red Mountain Express. Remember, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for now. You can also contact us on redmountainexpress.com, which I did renew the website.
You did. The website still exists.
So on April 15th, it will be renewed, and you'll still be able to contact us on there.
The good news is if you don't, you have like a year or two to actually redeem before they can steal it. Okay. And I know this from experience.
There's like a right of redemption when it comes to
there is. You've actually got like a year or more.
See, we always think there's somebody in like a dark house somewhere waiting for
Nobody's plotting to steal.
There's no Birmingham citizen going, I want that name. Like that's.
I'm waiting on it.
It's probably Red Mountain Espresso, like espresso.
Because you know they.
For when we first started coming up with the show, we're going to get into another aside here real quick. We were trying to come up with a name, and Red Mountain Express was one that we finally hit and we really liked. So I started Googling to see if there was another Red Mountain Express company or anything that existed that would be mad if we used it. There wasn't, but when I typed that into Google, of course, I got a lot of Red Mountain Espresso returns, which is a local coffee company.
Should get them on the show. Well,
for a long time, if you Googled us, you would get their website way more times than you'd ever see ours. You'd have to go to like page 3 or 4 to see our stuff. Over time, as we've added more stuff to our website and played with the Google Analytics, we've gotten our stuff on the front page.
And we're number one now, aren't we?
I believe we are. It fluctuates. And in one time, and I haven't talked to anybody at Red Mountain Espresso, so if anybody's listening and hears this, I did get an email that I think was supposed to go to you that came to our address, and I immediately deleted it. They've got to?
I have a $10,000 check for you. Where do I send it to? And you were like, make it out to Matthew Joyner.
Once I saw who it was to, I just deleted it. I don't typically try and read other people's stuff.
So what you're telling me is you're not the Trump campaign. Anyway, sorry.
So I'm sure like they're waiting. If we go delinquent on our website,
they're going to get it. They're going to snatch it. Yeah. Well, it's not going to happen because I renewed it.
Yeah, we're good.
Took me 2 seconds, so it was great. Felt good about it. Well, that's going to do it. We're glad you could join us. Thank you for joining us, Patrick.
Thank you for having me.
You're going to do this again, right?
Sure.
Okay, good. For Patrick Tucker and Matthew Joyner, I'm Blake Westbrook. We'll see you next week.